What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the DCXP podcast, episode 21. This podcast is legal and we are lit, but not like that. We're just excited to be here.
I was actually going to ask if anybody wanted to do a drinking episode, but I don't have any alcohol, so.
That's like weekend Savannah. Like Thursday night Savannah can't handle that.
More mode. And Joe just left the shot, so maybe he's getting a drink. We don't know.
Joe, cheers for all of us.
I'll do it. I'll carry that burden tonight. Here we go, guys. This is the 21 episode, so.
What is that?
It's nice.
Is that Tito's?
Tito's action here. So this is for 21.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to say, 21, we're legal, blackjack episode, whatever you want to call it. It is it's like a lunar eclipse episode. I call it that because the Wizards have won 3 in a row. The Caps are currently winning 2-0. They had their probably best game of the season on.
I'll drink to that. I'll drink to the Wiz 3 in a row.
So, well, okay. So then the Caps played the Penguins. Sorry, Savannah. They probably played their best game of the season against the Penguins. And then they're winning currently 2-0 against the Sabres in the third period. Bradley Beal just got named an All-Star game starter. Well-deserved because he's leading the league in scoring. I think he should be. And then pitchers and catchers reported today.
Baseball season.
Baseball
Pitchers
season.
and catchers.
Baseball season is underway, and Washington football team, I feel like they're just about to make a move. I have this gut feeling that we're going to see an announcement soon. Carson Wentz just got traded to the Colts today. We can kind of discuss that later. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of things are doing like cool vibes for all 4 DC teams, which is like rare. It's pretty cool, but we got a fun episode hopefully for you, which we'll cap it off as always with a Bachelor recap, which made a lot of people mad and it's kind of hilarious. So, what do we want to get into first? Okay. So Jay Gruden had an interview. He's had a couple interviews now. Actually had multiple. He had one where people kind of questioned what he said on one of these interviews, which he said Dan Snyder would basically get off his yacht and make the draft pick. That was kind of like the headline grabber. Then he went on with Grant and Danny, had a normal interview, kind of like explained that quote. But like we all know what he was talking about. Dan Snyder picked Dwayne Haskins. This interview he did with Kevin Sheeran, that's the right person, right? I was thinking, so was it Al Galdi or Kevin Sheeran? He went into crazy detail about just certain stories about what happened, and I just want to kind of briefly go over some of them. I think this is like there's so many good talking points. Let's go down memory lane, even though I know Savannah doesn't have the same file we do on some of these things, but she can probably comment. She'll have opinions. So
what's up? What happened?
So I want to first ask this. He said he's not going to probably coach this year. He made the joke. He's like, hey, I just got canned from my head coaching job. I became an offensive coordinator for the Jaguars, and we just went 1-15. I don't know if I'm going to get a job after that on my resume. So, Caps just scored again. Excuse me if I'm going to just live say this stuff. And so, yeah, he said he's going to maybe he has a couple reach outs to broadcasting, maybe as an analyst or in the booth. I think Jay Gruden would be so good at that. I mean, his brother was great at it. I think Jay Gruden would be amazing at that. I don't know if anybody has a thought on that.
It's basically John Gruden. Just close your eyes.
Let me tell you something, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you something, man. That's how he talks. Yeah, they both say the same thing, so they ran the same offense, right? Basically, so they're kind of the same person. They see football the same way. It'd probably be a really good fit.
Savannah, what's your file on Jay Gruden?
I covered Jay Gruden for 1.5 seasons before he got canned. He's funny. He's just like fun to cover. I'm probably not, I don't know. I didn't take him so seriously. I was just like, this guy's a riot. And I would like look, I'm like, oh, that's a head coach. Like I gotta like chill with that. But he's so funny.
No, he's super honest. I think that's like the thing. The media loved him because they knew, like, in the media, they asked some dumb questions. Well, stupid tangent. Speaking of dumb questions, Bradley Beal last night got asked by Neil, I forget his name, the reporter, and he says, "There's more clapping on the bench, Brad. Like, why is that?" And then he just goes, "I mean, that's a wild ass question, Neil." And then he's like, "I don't know, because we're winning." And Neil kind of got slightly made fun of by all the Wizards beat reporters, and he's like, I got to clarify what I meant by that. But it was funny. Anyway, reporters ask certain questions because they want to just throw the rod out there and be like, maybe he'll give me an answer. It was very apparent early on in Jay Gruden's tenure. He will give you a good answer. I mean, everybody knows when Robert Griffin sucked so bad against Joe. What game was it? Was it the 49ers or the Buccaneers? That game where he just looked like a high school quarterback playing in the NFL. And basically kind of said, I think his quote was, Aaron Rodgers only plays well when his team plays well. Some stupid thing like that. And Jay, like, Robert has to worry about Robert. And then basically was like, he's doing three-step dropbacks when he's supposed to do 5, and he's doing 5 when he's supposed to do 7, and he just ripped him like in front of everybody. And the media was like, "Oh, we're gonna ask this guy way more detailed questions because he's gonna give us answers." So, yeah, he's just honest, and that kind of segue into, he talked about RG3 saga. He thought he could fix him, and he realized early on that was not going to be the case. He's like, he just can't play. Talked about Kirk and how he would love to have kept Kirk. He had a hilarious comment about in the playoff game against Green Bay, how when Aaron Rodgers, who's probably the best in the NFL at getting the defense to jump off sides, he said, yeah, right when that penalty happened, it was 3rd and 4, it became a first down, and they went and scored, and they kind of took over the game after that. He said, yeah, Aaron, it's like, I told them not to sub, and this fat ass is still running off the field. Like, just like riffing, like, I don't know who he's talking about. And then I think Kevin Sheeran was like, I think it was this guy. And he's like, yeah, that fat ass. I was like, oh my God, he just doesn't care when he talks. Another highlight was talking about the 2017 team. He thinks that team, if it wasn't decimated by injuries, probably would have done some damage in the playoffs. Said he had a relationship with Kirk that was fine. And I knew that, and this next thing, I knew people tried to defend it. I said, there's no way Jay Gruden picked Alex Smith. He said, I did not know about the Alex Smith trade until I got a text saying we traded for Alex Smith.
Yeah.
I remember I got into an argument on Twitter with somebody about that, and they're like, no, I was like, Jay's never had his quarterback in Washington. That was my argument. I was like, he's never picked his quarterback. He inherited Robert and Kirk. I think he liked Colt, but that's not a quarterback given to you. And then he just was like, hey, yeah, here's Alex Smith. Like, so he never got his quarterback. So he said he never knew about it. He about talking about Rosen. Remember we were talking about Washington fans were saying how they wanted to trade for Josh Rosen. Joe, you remember that, right?
Yeah.
Did you want Josh Rosen? I can't remember.
Not really. Kind of out of college, but yeah, I liked Darnold better.
Jay Gruden Sam Darnold will get to that in a minute. I think he's going to be a Washington football team player. They talked about Rosen, and they said, "Did you like Rosen?" And then Jay, without hesitation, goes, "Oh no, I didn't think. No, I wasn't a fan of him coming out." And I was like, "Oh my God, wow, that explains maybe why they didn't draft him or trade for him." And then it got to the Dwayne part. He said they knew they were drafting Dwayne Haskins 6 months prior to the draft, because Dan Snyder would walk around the facility saying, you see Dwayne Haskins play? He's like, oh, you see him play against this. And he's like, yeah, you probably don't like him because he's a good player. Like, ripping Jay Gruden like he doesn't like good players. Like, Jay was basically like, I don't know why he was making jokes like that, but he basically said
sounds like a really fun boss.
And then Dan apparently would or Kevin Sheehan was saying, I can just imagine Dan going around saying, oh, did you see Dwayne versus this team, or did you see Dwayne versus Purdue? And then Jay Gruden randomly just goes, oh, he was awful versus Purdue. Like, it was just an example, but he was like, oh, he sucked versus Purdue. And so he said that he made a tape, and he's like, there's a lot of wow throws, but there's so many throws, and from college he's like, where are you throwing the ball? And he said he basically had 800 yards. You know, those like throwing bubble screens to Paris Campbell at the time. He had like 800 yards just throwing these like little short passes, and the guy would run, do most of the yards. So the Dwayne conversation was fun. talked about the Kirk knee fiasco when he took a knee before halftime during the Philly game. He actually said it wasn't Kirk's fault. He said it was Pierre and Deshaun's fault because Pierre apparently is one of the most stubborn receivers of all time. If you told him to run a route he didn't want, he would say nope. Deshaun, you couldn't use him in any kind of run game because he didn't like blocking. He said he earned all of his salary at that halftime because he basically insinuated that he yelled at Pierre and Deshaun and they yelled back. And he's like, I basically earned my whole entire salary at halftime because I had to get everybody calmed down. If we won, we won the division. Like, it was kind of crazy. He said Ryan Kelly would have been the pick if he was available instead of Josh Doxson. He said Matt Ioannidis and Cole Holcomb were not even on their draft boards unless Jay Gruden mentioned them, which is kind of wild. And also I've heard this, what's the general manager's name that got canned? Scott McLuhan. Scott McLuhan went on the radio with Grant and Danny a couple years ago and said Jay Gruden was the best coach he's ever been with that's been an evaluator. And then they brought that up, and then Jay basically was like, yeah, that's my strength. Like, and that's why it was frustrating because he didn't have the control Ron Rivera has now. He says,
that's why he probably said he didn't like Josh Rosen so quick because obviously Josh Rosen's a bust. So Jay Gruden was really quick to say, no, I didn't like him at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say the same thing. I was trying to get known as an evaluator, you know?
He said basically, he basically said, like, he's like, Dwayne wasn't a reject, but like all the draft experts said he was like sometimes possibly the best quarterback in the draft. And he's like, I basically said he should go in the second or third round. And I think the other one they asked him about was, did you like Drew Lock? And he's like, yeah, I like Drew Lock. I didn't like him in the first round though. I don't know how it would happen. I would love to get Jay Gruden on a podcast because I want to ask him so many questions. Yeah, he says his biggest strength is knowing personnel. He didn't have any say who's on the roster. Talked about DJ Swearinger, how DJ Swearinger got cut because he just basically talked to the media. Like, he basically said, we told people at the beginning of the season, everything stays in house. DJ Swearinger basically started saying, we sucked in practice. We had bad practices. We should be playing this defense. And then he's like, he was basically like, I have to cut him. I can't deal with this anymore. So they just let him go. And then as wrapping up this discussion, I know this is kind of long-winded, but I think who's the coach that took over for him when he got canned? Callahan said our practices are like tougher or whatever after Jay Gruden got fired. And Jay Gruden was like, yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way because Callahan was like the one coach that I didn't hire. Like, that was a Bruce Allen hire. He was like, that was one coach on my staff I did not necessarily want, but
it's interesting.
Well, because Callahan was the one that brought the refs to practice, right?
Yeah,
not sure.
He did.
Yeah.
Right after he was like bringing refs and they were getting, really technical.
There was no more music at practice. Like, he was laying down the law.
Yeah.
And a couple other things. He never wanted to let Preston Smith go. He said he was so against that. And of course, Preston Smith left and has had Pro Bowl seasons with the Packers. And then he said, what was this? Oh, the worst loss, I think the most gut-wrenching loss was the Giants game, which I think a lot of fans would agree. It's when Kirk threw that bad pick. He's like, Kirk could have ran for 20 yards, and he decided to throw it right to Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. So, yeah, it was I mean, it was an hour plus, and it just flew by because you were so into what he was saying. And then you're like, oh, no, keep talking. I want you to keep talking about this stuff. I would just want him on for like a draft podcast and be like, what was like your favorite prospect here? What was your favorite prospect there or whatever? But yeah, so it was good. I would recommend, if you haven't listened to it, to listen to it. It's the Kevin Sheehan show.
You got the whole rundown though, either way. So
yeah, I mean, I there was a lot of stuff that I didn't, the stuff that I found very interesting for sure. But what is there anything else with Washington football team? Do you want, we can, I guess, let's open this up. Joe, you like Sam Darnold, right?
Yeah.
Would you want him? Darnold. What's the most you give up for him?
I mean, if Wentz is going for a third, I mean, his
contract
sucks.
Wentz isn't going for a third. Wentz is going for a third and pretty much a first.
A second, right?
A conditional second. If he plays 75% of his snaps or some other 70 thing and they make the playoffs.
70% in a playoff game. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason
wouldn't the Colts just rest him?
Why would they do that? They're trying to make the playoffs, Joe. They're not trying to like just be like, oh, we got to worry about a draft
Well,
pick.
you're not trying to give up a first-round pick either.
Well, it's not this year's first. It's next year's.
Right.
It's next year's
but
draft
still,
pick.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. All I'm saying is I would give up a third for Darnold and probably no more than like maybe I'd give up a second next year. But nothing more than a third this year. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we have 2/3. I don't know, Savannah, do you have any input on Sam Darnold?
I don't want Sam Darnold.
Like at
all? He did get mono. He does,
He sees ghosts. He has mono. Like, he's just not for me.
Yeah.
He's not my QB.
Can't trust a guy that's going out there getting mono.
No, for the price, I think he's not. You'd pay too much, even if you're only getting a third. Like, it's too much for Sam Darnold. I don't think he's the answer. I'd rather give out like a fifth for Marcus Mariota and see what happens there and make it a real QB competition with Kyle Allen and Taylor Heineke. I'd rather that.
Yeah. Size for that, yeah.
Well, speaking of which, there was a poll put out today, very recently. I think because some guy was going back and forth with what's his face, Jordan from Washington Football Today, saying he basically would take Tyler Heineke over Kirk Cousins. I mean, this was a guy who clearly just hated Kirk Cousins. He said Kirk's garbage, and then Jordan took that tweet and then made a poll into it and said, "Who would you rather have, Taylor Heineke or Kirk Cousins?" No surprise here because Washington fans are just funny. I think at one time it was 43% for Taylor Heineke. I will just say here, officially, you're out of your goddamn mind if you think Tyler Heineke's better than Kirk Cousins after 5 quarters. So that was what was happening today on Washington Twitter.
Good, so it hasn't changed. Everyone is just in off-season.
I think we're in lockstep.
Right, still same thing.
I
mean, come on, dude. Heineke played like a top-tier player in the 5 quarters he played. I'm not saying he's special, but I mean, you can't kill the guy and say there's no chance. Like, what if he just keeps playing like this forever?
Well, do you want to risk a wasted year of the defense by going with Taylor Heineke?
So you're saying like actually bring in Kirk Cousins?
No. It wasn't like, hey, it was just a comparison of like I'd rather have like toilet water than Kirk Cousins or something like that instead of Taylor Heineke. And I was like, what? I was like, dude, you really hate Kirk Cousins that much? I was like, the dude.
No.
Yeah. But I will say, I think somebody also said, would you trade a third for Sam Darnold? I said, I quote tweeted from the account, I said, absolute no brainer. If it's a third, that's it. Like, I'll trade one of our thirds, probably our second third rounder for him, because it is a hands down guarantee they will sign a big time receiver. We just don't know who. I think it's going to be Allen Robinson. So then you have Allen Robinson, Terry McLaurin, Gibson. That's light years better than whatever Sam Darnold's working with in New York. So you got to take that into account. But it would be risky because it's like, I think it's still a risk because it's a young guy who has showed flashes, but he's not been great. And so if he's just still not great and he's still seeing ghosts and gets mono again or something, I don't know.
I'm kind of out on it though, because it's like I'm willing to give up my 19th pick and maybe even a future first on top of that for the right guy. Like,
well, what's the right guy? Like, what's left? I mean, Deshaun Watson apparently is staying put. I would still call Houston and be like, yo, what do you want on top of 3 first rounders? Like, we're giving you 3 first. What else do you want? I bet they maybe had that conversation.
I'll tell you what a mistake would be is giving up a first for Derek Carr. That's a mistake.
I think we all can agree. I think we all can agree.
If they do that, I'm going to be very upset if they do that. I'm telling you right now. I'll be very upset.
Well, Jay Gruden also said he does love Derek Carr. I mean, I don't know if he's saying that because of his brother.
He's saying it to get Derek Carr's trade value up so his brother can trade his ass. I think that's what he's doing.
I think people pointed out that if they do trade for Mariota, because people said maybe a 5th can get it done, I think they said he does have incentives in his contract. So if he is a starter, he'll probably hit those incentives. So he's not worth $10 million. He's probably worth like, I don't know. I could be making this up, like more closer to 20. And I don't think Mariota's worth 20. So it'll be interesting. But I think that's really the only things we can talk about so far. I mean, we're just waiting for the news to drop. The
Could be a
Carson Wentz
while.
thing came out of left field. Here's the thing I don't get though. Before we move on with Carson Wentz, their coaches or the Eagles coach is Nick Sirianni, who was the quarterbacks coach, I think, or offensive coordinator for the Colts under Frank Reich, who was like the Carson Wentz whisperer in Philly when he was there. So in my head, I'm like, well, they brought this Sirianni guy in. I just assumed because he maybe can help fix Carson Wentz. And he just turns around and trades him back to his head coach. I'm like, does anybody not find that a little weird and fishy?
Yeah, it's the league. Everybody knows everybody.
That's like when this is a complete when the Minnesota Timberwolves traded Kevin Garnett to the Celtics for like a bag of donuts because like Danny Ainge and Kevin McHale knew each other from back when they played with the Celtics, and I was like, that's like not nepotism because that's like family, but like I don't know what you call cronyism. Is that what it's called? Where you just like are boys and it's like, hey, we'll give them for you for nothing, and then the Celtics
Yeah,
won.
well, that's not really this. I mean, I don't know. I think it's fair value though, the trade.
I don't know. They wanted 2 1s for him. They got a third and probably a first if he stays healthy. That's kind of wild. So we know the Washington football team offered a first and third for Stafford. I wonder if they're just going to be like, and there's always they could maybe trade up in the draft if they love, I don't know, pick your quarterback, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. I think it would be hilarious if the Eagles drafted Trey Lance because he went to North Dakota State. Carson Wentz went there too. It's like, let's just try this again. People say Jalen Hurts is the quarterback one. I don't think that's true. Anyway, what else do we want to get to here? Wait, was there another football? Oh, Tim Tebow's retiring from baseball. He did play football.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. He gave it a shot, huh? Well, he almost,
I think
he
people
almost
make
made
fun
it.
of him. People make fun of him. That dude hit 270 and was an all-star in Double-A. I don't care what you say. That dude didn't play baseball for probably like 12 years, and he picked it up. And people are like, oh, like he sucks. I'm like, I know people who played baseball in college who could not do what he did. I just no for a fact. It's like, I'm sorry, like you're gonna
freak. Yeah, no, he's
and people
freak.
don't like him for other weird reasons, and I don't know. His like people make fun of his like $300 haircut. Anyway,
it's hard
Savannah,
to get a $300 haircut for.
Savannah, are you a Tim Tebow person? Do you find him like attractive as everybody else does?
Oh, attractive 100%. Nice guy for sure. I'm really not seeing any downsides here. Can play 2 sports pretty well. Like, I don't know why people are hating on him. Cares about his personal hygiene enough to get a $300 haircut. Why are we mad?
Yeah.
People like being mad. People are addicted to mad. That's what we are, especially if you're on Twitter. You got to find the right parts of Twitter and stay in that lane. Just blinders. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the Wizards real quick. Like we pointed out, Bradley Beal had 2.5 million plus votes.
Well, hold on. There was like 7 days where it was like, if you retweet this, it counts as 2 votes.
Well, that was
like, I don't know.
But that was for everybody though. So it's all under the same umbrella.
No, I know.
So anyway, so everybody had an opportunity. Kyrie Irving's a very popular player still, even though he's a little, Okay, so yeah, he's an all-star starter, well-deserved. He's averaging 32.8 points a game. Like I said, they've won 3 in a row. They played John Wall in his return. Bradley Beal outdueled him. I thought John Wall was about to go for 50. The way that game was starting, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be embarrassing. But also, they have like nobody on their team. I think they were missing their whole starting lineup, essentially. The last game, though, they played against the Nuggets. They were down 20 points at one point. Bertans then got on fire. He hit 9 threes versus Denver. I forget all the records that he did. It's the most points. It's like he's the first player in NBA history to, I think, hit 9 threes and score 30-something points off the bench without shooting a 2-pointer. Did you get all that? That was a lot. That was a tongue twister. It was like a lot of – but it's his career high in threes. It's a career high in points all off the bench, which is ridiculous. Westbrook played a back-to-back, which is weird, but he's still not shooting great. 2 more triple-doubles, but again, kind of stat candy more than anything. Joe, what are you thinking about the Wiz, Joe?
I like it. I think it's encouraging, right? 3 in a row. I just they're about to hit the West Coast road trip, so hopefully they don't. I think they play 4 games out there, right?
They play Portland on Saturday. I know the Lakers are in there. The Clippers are probably in there, and then I'm blanking on the other team. But we've seen this
Yeah,
before. People always say this is going to be a tough stretch, and then they somehow pull out a 500 record on that trip. So they're still 8 games below 500. So I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here, but they do look better. They did play some
yeah, they're
better
like
defense.
3 or 4 games out of the playoff, or only about 2 games out of the playoffs, which is crazy. So
what?
if they can just keep,
I got to double check that.
yeah,
Wild. And the Caps are about to win 3-1, just FYI.
yeah. So this is, I don't know. I think they're actually going to make the playoffs, which is pretty funny seeing as
They
though
probably
they're, like,
will. And
the
just
worst defensive team I've ever seen. Like, this is the worst team I've ever seen try to play defense. They've actually played pretty good defense this week, but goodness.
I do
if
want to.
Bertans isn't hitting like 8 threes a game, they're not winning. Like, he's the key. So, like, yeah, the money was worth it for him if he's just popping threes like he was last night. I mean,
I saw Joe tweeted. You can follow Joe. What's your handle again?
Oh, I took that down because I didn't want to kill Bertans. Like, I felt like I was killing Bertans too much.
Yeah, you said the front office when they see Bertans have a good game after they tossed him $80 million. It's from what was it from Full House? It was like a group high five.
Yeah, I said the Wizards overcrowded front office high-fiving each other when Bertans does anything. Yeah, no, it's I felt like I was killing Bertans though. I was like, nah, I like him.
No, there was some. I mean, there was like a play where Nikola Jokic, who is an MVP candidate, who's just good at everything, even though he plays like a 35-year-old dad in the YMCA. I mean, I don't know how that guy gets away with some of the stuff he does, but he was just left wide open for three, and I'm like, why are we leaving these good players wide open? But then you just kind of say it's the Wizards. I was gonna ask Savannah like her tabs on the Wizards and her first kind of like year as a fan.
Yes. So it's been a roller coaster. When they were down, I was like, you know what? I'm accepting it. We're gonna tank. It's a wash season. Who cares? I'm over it. Get a great draft pick. And I was all aboard. Cool. Then they won 3 in a row. And I said, we're going to the playoffs. Like, yeah, I mean, who is this?
Going to the playoffs. We're going to play Philly in the playoffs. This is crazy.
I said, wow. I mean, I'm so happy to be a Wizards fan 3 in a row. What's this like? I'm so happy to root for a playoff caliber team. So it's been a roller coaster of emotions. The next time they lose, I'm going to be right back to, oh my God, they suck. I can't believe I'm rooting for this team. But I think that's part of it.
I was thinking in my head, and maybe we can either talk about it later on the episode of it. I'm just trying to think of the social media following for each team and how annoying each one is and rank it in terms of annoyance. I honestly think the Wizards complain the most.
Well, I didn't even know we had fans other than us. Like, there's like 10 fans. It's like us, Quentin Mayo, who like works for the team basically, and like that's it. I don't even know who else is out there. Seriously.
I mean, there's fans. We got all of Japan and Israel, so
That's true. There are a lot of haters.
That's right. No, yeah.
Fans there are so many as just followers that are there just like hate.
No, they're like player followers. They're like Westbrook fan. We just ingested like a bunch of negative Westbrook fans that just follow him everywhere, and he's having a bad season, so now it's our problem. And yeah.
Wait a second. I cannot believe we almost stopped talking about the Wizards without me mentioning Russell Westbrook's stupid ass yellow coat that he wore.
Oh, I was gonna ask your opinion. I was gonna text you about that actually, because that was wild. That was like a raincoat.
I love a bold fashion choice. I love it when players use that as a runway. They know they're gonna get photographed. I think that's cool. I don't love that choice, but I'm glad that he's making those efforts again. Like, I feel like he was kind of like, oh, I suck. I'm just not going to do anything. And then he came back with like, yellow raincoat. I'm back.
Yeah.
So I like this statement he was making.
No.
Well, Savannah, you do know his history with like outfits, right?
I think he just dresses crazy, right?
Yeah. I just didn't know if like that was like your first time you ever like thought to look at Russell Westbrook and like that was your first impression. I'm like, I mean, that was a little wild, but you should see some of the other stuff.
Oh, no. He's very
That was wild though.
That was wild.
Yeah,
he looked like I'm trying to think. Isn't there like a book? Like my first thought was like Curious George for some reason, just because of the yellow, but that's not right.
He wears a yellow raincoat.
Oh, well then,
His handler
and
does.
Curious George, that's what it is. Just an oversized Curious George raincoat. But what was I going to say with the Wizards? Oh, the one last thing is a lot of people, speaking of their fans on Twitter, they hate the announcing crew. And I feel bad for Justin Kutcher and Drew Gooden. Now, to be fair, Drew Gooden isn't the best. I mean, he kept saying last night, and Joe, I don't know if you were watching or listening, and I knew somebody was going to bring it up on Twitter. And Bullets Forever, they did. Whoever
Bullets Forever just kills Drew Gooden.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude, it's just.
But they crushed Drew Gooden.
So he just kept saying the defensive strategy for Nikola Jokic was don't let him catch the ball, and he just kept saying it like it was easy to do, like no catches. I'm like, you realize how impossible that is, right? Like that guy's he's first of all, he's 7 feet tall. Second of all, he's going to touch the ball, whether it be in a post up. And he basically plays point guard. So, and he's like, well, if he's bringing the ball up, that's fine. But if he doesn't have it, like no catches. I'm like, you are asking the impossible. That's like saying LeBron James, no catches. Like that's just not going to happen. So he just kept saying it. I'm like, oh my God, somebody's going to bring this up on Twitter. And then it happened. He's like, they're like, Drew, how do you suppose you implement this impossible strategy? And like Bullets Forever had like 18 straight tweets about it. So I feel bad for them, but it just sucks. People loved Phil and Buck so much that anything was going to suck to them. So,
right.
Yeah. God, I love Phil and Buck.
Joe took a picture with Buck.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
What was that, in Memphis?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was charged up when I met him. It was a party that night on Beale Street, and I just ran into Buck and Phil, and they so kind of let me take a picture. I also tweeted a picture, and at the time, Chris Miller liked that tweet. I remember that, Chris.
Wow.
Yeah, Chris doesn't remember it, but I was waving to them. I had a few, Buck definitely noticed, but love him for taking that pic with me for sure.
I think he, we tweet. I don't know if I think I might have tweeted that from the account at the time, and I think he liked it.
Time to go back and find it.
And so they go to Portland to play Damian Lillard, and Damian Lillard, by the way, is playing out of his mind, and he didn't get voted in as an all-star starter, and that caused some commotion. I think Luka Doncic got in over him, but they got a road trip coming up, and we'll pray for them. Okay, so now we'll get to the pitchers, or the Nationals, and the pitchers and catchers report. I'm just so happy. I'm so happy. The other, hopefully, good team is about to start playing. So, this is where the Wizards' bad can get canceled out by either the Capitals, like tonight, or the Nationals, which we assume they will be decent in 2021. I know, Savannah, you had some stuff you maybe have on Nationals front.
Well, yes. So first, Brian Dozier has announced his retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Doge Daddy is going to live it up in retirement.
What do you think of when you hear Brian Dozier? Like, besides, bringing us a championship, what's the
easy?
Yes. Okay. I used to know I listened to that song so much, I could sing it without looking at the Spanish words, word for word. Like I knew every word. I even knew what I was saying because I was so curious. I looked it up. I was like, oh, I know what I'm saying too. I'm not just repeating. But yeah, him dance. Well, I almost said danceless shirting. Shirtless dancing to Comma, remix by, I'm blanking on the artist, but.
And I have like my own personal little story with Brian Dozier as a young sweet girl, first time on the beat, standing around the clubhouse, and I was told, go get a story. And I said,
was this on your Twitter? Did you post this one on your Twitter or something?
No, it's my first time sharing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. Exclusive.
No, I was literally exclusive. So I was like so nervous. I was like, I don't know like how you're supposed to go talk to these guys. Like, what am I going to go talk to them about? And I asked someone like that was in the room with me, one of the other beat reporters, I was like, how do you talk to them? And they were like, I don't know, like figure out something you have in common with them. They're just people. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure I have a ton in common with every one of these players. Like, let me just make something up. So I saw Brian Dozier had cowboy boots outside of his little cubby area. So I walked up to him, I go, do you like country music? And he looked at me, he goes, do you know where I'm from? I was like, not particularly. I won't lie to you. It's my first day. I'm really nervous. And he just laughed. He goes, I love country music. He's like, we talked about country music. And he was like, did you just want to talk about country? I was like, no, I actually need a quote from you. And he's like, I can do that too. And I was like, okay, cool. So then every time he saw me in the clubhouse, he's like, country. And like, country.
That's awesome. Oh my God, that's so cool.
So I love him. He's a special place in my heart of like him just being so nice to me, of me literally going, I don't know anything about you, and I definitely should have done my research before I just approached you, but hi.
I'm blanking.
Awesome.
He has a southern drawl, right?
He does. He is from Kentucky.
That sounds right. Yeah. Yeah, he's a funny dude.
Funny.
Was he the one that first video before? I don't know which one happened first, when they were down in Miami and they were all doing their thing. But on the plane, there's that one video of who's the guy eating like Chick-fil-A like right in front of the camera. It's the pitcher. I'm blanking on his name.
Aaron Barrett?
No, you can see his face like trying to like not be in the shot, and he's like eating Chick-fil-A. But there's that plane video of the first time I think Kama was played, and then like that just took off. I remember the Nationals had like it's so much affiliation with that artist. I'm blanking on his name. I'm looking it up.
He is the
Pedro Capo.
I was close.
But yeah, Pedro Capo. Yeah, oh God, I love Brian Dozier. I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss everybody from that team.
I know. It's just another one down from the 2019 squad that's either not playing anymore or just not in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sad.
We're definitely going to. I was just thinking this. We need to have a Nats episode. We can maybe try to get somebody on to talk some Nats, because they are a different squad. We're gonna see what they got. But did you have a second thing?
Well, yeah. So Fernando Tatis Jr. signed a 14-year extension.
Oh wow! I didn't even. That was definitely a topic I wanted to bring up. Yeah.
Yes. So what that means for Juan Soto and what that means for the Padres.
Just give Juan Soto $500 million. Just put that offer in front of him. If Scott Boras says no, then at least you tried.
Yeah, it's crazy to think though, that from the owner's perspective, like I'm gonna stroke this check for $500 million. So crazy.
Well, the thing with Tatis, we can get into this a little bit. 14 years, what was 360 officially?
340.
I saw 340 originally, but then I saw another tweet that said 360. I'm not sure if there was something that I missed, but okay, let's just say 340.
20 million.
They said that, I don't know if you saw the tweet about the taxes because of California. Oh my God. 200 million. So people say like, that's a lot. He's still making like 150 plus million. So
he'll be okay.
He'll be okay. His kids will be okay. His grandkids will be okay. He's going to be fine. But it is wild. Like I was just thinking, like I was listening to the Junkies today, and I think Cakes was basically saying, where is San Diego getting all this money? Because they gave Machado a huge deal. They're paying Eric Hosmer money. I think Darvish makes a ton. And now they just shelled out money for Tatis, which I guess it doesn't technically kick in because he still has some years on arbitration. So, or does it kick in right away? Because I guess that eliminates the arbitration years.
It's something where it like doesn't completely kick in until 2 years into the new extension or something like that. It's like a whole.
Okay. Well, the Padres are gonna be the Padres were fun last year. I mean, they were called Slam Diego, which is just amazing. They're gonna be fun again this year, barring health. But the Nationals, we don't know what they're gonna be. I think I kind of alluded to it. They're gonna be, if their pitching staff stays healthy, a lot of strikeouts, and if their hitting stays healthy, possibly a lot of strikeouts, but a lot of bombs. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll probably have a more detailed episode, like I said. But what it means for Juan Soto, that deal, I pray every day that I wake up to a report that he signed for 15 years.
Well, Rizzo did say today in his availability that they talked about an extension with Soto, and he said it was a short conversation. It didn't go anywhere. So
Scott Boras, man. He will, because Scott Boras knows, first of all, Scott Boras might not even sign a 10-plus year deal. This makes sense. Juan Soto's going to be what, 24, 5, maybe when he has to, that deal would kick in.
Yeah.
He was going to maybe sign a 5-year deal. Then you sign another deal. I mean, he's probably going to be a good hitter, like for his whole career. So I don't think he's going to be like a Miggy either. Like Miggy signed that big deal, but Miggy's also like a hefty dude who just didn't give a you know what. And then yeah, that was like later in his career. So this is like Juan Soto in his not even probably in his prime at 24, which is scary to think. But so yeah, that'll be interesting. I will offer what I will give some of my money into that fund. I don't know. 500 mil is the number. It might even be like, I don't know. It's going to hurt my head to think about how much he's going to get.
Yeah, I can't think about that right now. And then one other piece of Nationals news that we can talk about more when we do our big episode, but it's something to watch. A report came out today that Max Scherzer has a sprained right ankle. And Max Scherzer has a lot of injuries that he just either plays through, never gets told. It gets told at the end of the season. He'll be like, oh, I've been dealing with this for months. Like when he had the back spasms, that was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's been dealing with this. He's like, yeah, I've had these for months. I just played through them. So for the report to come out about the sprained ankle makes me think there might be something larger going on.
Do we know what ankle?
His right ankle.
So not necessarily. I mean, I would, based if it was just that injury, I'd be more concerned about it being his left because that's the leg that comes down, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that would be the leg that comes down. The right one kind of stays stable.
Yeah, but you can't really generate your power, and that's an issue. That is an issue that Savannah's right. If they reported it, it's bigger than it seems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sprained ankle for him would just be like, oh, my back hurts today. Like, I'm fine. For him to tell people or let people tell people that a sprained ankle, there's something fishy about that. So let's mark this part of the podcast when something happens to Scherzer's ankle, where I said,
or leg or right leg. Yeah.
This is bigger than just a sprained right ankle.
I don't. I'm trying not to get. I'm not trying to do too negative thoughts about the Nats, but I'll pin that in my head and hopefully it will go. It'll just go away.
Yeah.
Go away.
Or not.
So, is there? Did you have one more thing or no?
No, that's it. Just so excited it's baseball season. Can't wait to geek out about the Nationals now forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully we can go to some games. Try to go to some games.
Yeah,
I'll end the Nationals thing with this. If you had to give Juan Soto an offer to, like you said, Scott, here, like this is what I want to give. What would you say? Reasonable. Like I'm not. I don't exist.
10 years, like, 550.
10 years, 550. Jesus Christ. I wouldn't even say that.
I mean,
backloaded.
I mean, you know how many agents outside of Scott Boras with like good clients would see that deal and be like, mother Jesus. Like that would reset the market for a superstar. Now, not everybody's Juan Soto, but I keep thinking because they were talking about it, like who they've, and we've said this, they only really pay pitchers. They just kind of let their hitters go. I mean, Rendon, Harper, name it, like anybody good. Like it's just like, why don't you sign your own, especially the people you drafted? That kind of bothers me a little bit, that kind of letting homegrown guys get away. But, yep, we're very excited. Pitchers and catchers. When exactly do the rest of the team report? Yes, Tuesday. Okay. All right. So Nationals, like I said, the Capitals just won against the Sabres. So they've won 2 in a row now. They've looked good. Vitek, Vanacek, looks good. Their defense looks cleaned up. Not really much else to touch on there. They're just kind of in the, I think they're, because they lost 3 in a row before that, they kind of in the middle of the pack in terms of playoff, but they got a whole, actually their season's short. NBA 72, theirs is like 56 or something like that. So actually playoffs will get here for them, I feel like really quick, or I'm not sure how their schedule works out. Anyway, I don't know if anybody has any Capitals notes they want to touch on. I know Savannah doesn't.
Nothing more on my end.
I just want to say Savannah beating the Penguins at home like that just felt so good. It just makes you feel really good.
I bet a whole $1 on the game too. So I lost
A
$1.
whole dollar.
Wow.
Whole dollar. Guys, we're on a radio budget over here. I can't
Yeah.
shell out money
Yeah.
for the dollar.
All right, so some national sports. Well, we talked about the Carson Wentz trade already. Tebow, retiring from baseball. I had a debate with our buddies in a group text. Is it considered retiring if he didn't make the bigs?
Yeah.
I think it is because he played technically as pro, right?
I mean, if you get paid,
that's what I said. That's what I was saying. I was saying he didn't make the bigs, but he was a professional baseball player still, and you would officially retire.
Hard.
And then they
said
hard
to be a professional baseball player.
Somebody said, somebody replied, "Well, did Michael Jordan retire from baseball?" I'm like, he's Michael Jordan. He said, "Bye baseball." Like I am not. Also, if you watch the Jordan, The Last Dance, when they were talking about baseball, I think Jordan wasn't as bad as people think he was. Like he wasn't great, but he wasn't like this embarrassment like people said. He actually
did. He's like, good on defense, right? He's really good.
No, but they said like hitting wise, like they said like not a lot of guys can do what he did. Like he was playing, like he had to move up what do you call it, affiliates essentially to a higher level like quicker because they were like, you're Michael Jordan, like we need to like, I don't know, like sell tickets or whatever. And so he was playing against better competition right away and he actually like held his own. So basically they were saying it wasn't that bad. But the funniest thing, speaking of baseball, that I saw was the MLB percentage chance to make the playoffs came out and the Baltimore Orioles were giving a 0.0% chance. And I thought it was a typo, but it wasn't.
Wah, wah, wah. Sorry, Orioles. Maybe in 5 years.
That's what they said 5 years ago, probably. Their team, we all know how much Peter Angelos, not the best guy in the world.
No, that guy sucked.
Yeah, Joe was
the old Nats TV thing.
Oh Joe had no idea. Joe was in the dark.
Yeah.
He brought to the light now.
No, that guy sucks.
I mean, the Orioles have a good farm system. They do have some young talent that's going to come up. And
I mean, they do have the first pick. What's his face?
Bradley Beal.
Yep. So I mean, it's a good like, hey, we got these guys, but
they have exciting names. I'm sure. Like I said, 5 years.
Their payroll's like nothing. I'm pretty sure. I think their payroll's like, I could be exaggerating. It's like less than 10 million or something like that. I don't know. Like they just have a bunch of people on cheap deals.
They're right up there with the Indians and Pirates, just like not spending a lot of money. But
hey, what was the? I don't know if somebody can help me.
Hey, it is like I mean, it makes sense.
What was the percentage chance of the Nationals win the World Series at the time they were in 1931? Was it 0.8 or 1.8 or something like that?
I think it was like 1.8.
Okay. I was like saying like, I mean, at least, even the Nationals had like a percentage chance. Like, I feel like it's statistically impossible. You have to give them a percentage chance. Like give them 0.1.
It's interesting. These teams are probably just blowing it up because they're like, if we don't have a chance to win anything and we can't have fans, now let's just cut our losses, blow it up, and just rebuild and not pay a dime on any of these guys. Because I think that's what the Indians did. Like, I think that's what these guys are doing. Except for the Padres. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, the Indians are just
actually good.
The Indians are just stupid.
Yeah.
Like they're not. I don't know what they're doing, but
that's an episode. That's a whole other episode of the podcast of what the Cleveland Indians are doing.
Well, they're not the Indians anymore, right? Are they not the Indians anymore?
They announced that won't be the name, but they haven't announced any further, and they're not going by Cleveland baseball team.
Ah, damn it!
I know.
Damn. That's why I was putting my hands again. I'm like, please be Cleveland baseball team. Please be Cleveland baseball team.
No, they're still Indians. They're just aware of how wrong it is, aware that they're going to change it.
I brought this up on a way back podcast. I think we were talking about the name change of the Washington football team at one point. The Cleveland Rockers is the only acceptable answer. And I know they were like a WNBA team that doesn't exist anymore or something like that. That doesn't matter. That is like a name.
Rockies.
That Rockers, though. I mean,
Rockies, Rockers.
I know. Who cares? I mean,
one letter.
What?
I'm all in on spiders.
Yeah, I've heard Spiders is a leader in the clubhouse. It's just funny. Well, that reminds me. Next episode, I promise. Next episode, I will give you my pitch for Washington Wolves for the Washington football team. Just wasn't in the right headspace today. I was trying to practice it. I'm like, I'm gonna practice it and probably mess it up. That's what I know. Anyway, I didn't actually catch the Nationals percentage chance to make the playoffs. Did anybody see that?
I didn't see it.
I want to say it was like 20 something percent.
I saw the win projections. It was like, yeah, we talked about it last episode. It was like 90s. I think they were projected to win 82 or 84 games, something around there.
82 was in my head, so that seems to make sense.
Okay. Which we never know. I think we just don't know. I think baseball is just baseball is such an on paper sport. It's like you have these hitters, you have these pitchers, and we think if you stay healthy, this is what you're going to do. And we all know that's probably not going to happen. Knowing the Mets' luck, they're going to be dismantled by injuries. And anything else nationally that I'm missing?
Whatever I can think of. It's Bachelor time.
Well, actually, one more thing. It's just random that I put Ed Sheeran in here because who's a fan of Ed Sheeran on this podcast? Anybody else?
He's good.
I could have sworn that like Savannah would love him. But anyway, that doesn't matter.
Not like him.
Anyway, for some reason, like random things that happen, and then you like rediscover a song or something. That happened where I got a related video on YouTube. It was like the song Galway Girl by Ed Sheeran from his last album, which is a banger of a song. And it's the writing process of Galway Girl, and he like recorded it. And like I like behind the scenes stuff, like whether it's sports, music, entertainment. I just love it, especially if it's genuine. It's not like staged. And Ed Sheeran's such a private guy that I was like, this is completely genuine. Like he's showing you his whole process of like if he creates a song. And it was like a 7-minute video of how it went from like scratch to production. It was like the coolest thing. And like he was like how he was like going over the lyrics and like his original like lyrics, and then he like would go up to his producer like, what do you think of this? And his producer would help him like, it's like, oh, I think your melody should be this. And I was like, oh, like this is so cool. Like, and then he comes in and he like there's a violinist there and she's a boss. Like she like literally picks up the melody. It was like, oh, you want me to do this? And like took her like twice to get it completely perfect. And it was just awesome. Anyway, that made me start listening to his whole Divide album again, which is awesome. It has like the song Galway Girl, perfect. The song New Man, I don't know if that was actually a single or not, but it's a really good song. So I just started listening to him, and then I saw another the song Shape of You. I'm in love with the shit. That one. Yeah. That one has 5.1 billion views on YouTube. I didn't even know a song. I didn't know a song.
I mean, after the first million views that Mike put on it, I mean, a lot of other people took over the view count.
But I remember the only song I could think of in recent memory of like the last decade that approached 1 billion, and I thought it was like, oh, it's never gonna get there. It's just really high. Was that song? Was it Anaconda by Nicki Minaj? I remember that song had like 1 billion views. I'm like, well, I know why, but I was like, 1 billion. That's a lot. That's like 1/7 of the freaking world.
Well, and Justin Bieber's Sorry, that one was big too.
Oh yeah,
I know that because I put a million views on that one.
Bieber billions, that's what that is.
Sorry was the first Bieber song I think I broke to, and I was like, God damn it, I'm putting this on in the car.
Oh, I learned the whole dance.
I didn't know there's a dance to it.
Of course, there's a dance to
it. Jesus,
wow! I still remember him on Ellen all those years ago.
Oh, baby Beams.
He's now he's married to what's her face?
Haley Baldwin.
Mm-hmm. Which came out of nowhere. I didn't even know they were dating. Next thing I knew they were married. I thought he was still trying. When it was announced he was married, I swear to God, I thought he was still trying to get with like Selena Gomez. I was like, I'm so late on this. I'm really late on this. Anyway, so yeah, I was watching another behind the scenes song of Shape of You. I think the New York Times has a YouTube channel. There's a lot of cool stuff. And it was how he didn't actually intend to write that song for himself. He wrote it and he thought, he's like, oh, I'm going to have like Rihanna and some other person do a duet with this song. And then they're like, dude, he brought it to his label and his label was like, why don't you, you're really going to give this song up? And he's like, and then it's like the biggest song of his career, basically. So, but then that's when they said it has 5.1 billion views, the music video does. I'm like, Jesus, I didn't know a video could get 1 billion views. 5.1, that's like half the earth. So anyway, that was just my Ed Sheeran spiel. I thought Ed Sheeran's great at. Also, he took a whole year off from social media, which I thought was pretty cool, actually.
Good for him.
He understands how to take a break.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
Bachelor recap.
Mike really likes that Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran's one of the most talented. First of all, also he's 6 months older than me. That makes me feel like a freaking loser. I could have sworn he was like 35.
Aren't you the same age as John Wall?
John Wall is a year older than me.
Oh, okay.
I think. Yeah, he was born like September of 90.
Yeah.
And I was born in July of 91.
You guys are like the same person. That's why.
No, but I saw Ed Sheeran was 30, and I'm like,
same thing. It's like the Spider-Man meme, Mike, John Wall, same person.
No, but yeah, Ed Sheeran's 30, and I think he's just crazy talented, and he did a cover of like Britney Spears was it Oops, I Did It Again at a radio station, and I just was like, that cover is amazing. That's better than the original.
We also need to have an entire podcast episode about Free Britney because
I was about to say I haven't seen it yet, but I saw Justin Timberlake basically have to give an apology.
Crazy stuff. Did you guys see like the girl? Not the girl. Britney was wearing the yellow dress because somebody was like, if you're in distress, like wear. I don't know why I rhymed here, but if you're like in trouble, like wear a yellow dress. If you're in distress, wear a yellow dress. And she wore a yellow dress on that video she sent out. So
she's not okay.
Wait, so it's a documentary type of just her early years up until now? Is that how that works?
I have not watched Free Britney yet. I just can't bring myself to do it because I'm so worried about her. But like basically her dad owns her entire life. Like he tells her like work and she has to work and then he gets the money from it. And then he's in charge of all of her accounts.
Like still to this day?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
How is that one legal? Like
maybe she's got some,
Yeah. He has like conservatorship, I believe it's called, over her, where it's like she was not deemed that she could handle it.
Oh, because she was basically considered like crazy. Like
remember she shaved her head?
Oh yeah, like they basically probably like ruled her like mental.
Yeah. So then her dad took over, but her dad wasn't there for the early years of her life. He just like came in when the going got good, took over everything, and now is like, oh, Brittany, like you need mental health help. Why don't you go like do residency in Vegas for a year, and then we'll talk about it. He's like a bad dude.
I didn't know any of that. I maybe did. I maybe just forgot about it, but I just remember it blew my mind how young she was when like she got big. I forget, she was like a teenager still, or like not even like a legal teen. And she was like in these like hyper sexualized videos. And I was like, that just blows my mind. Especially in 2021, I'm like, that would not go over well. Like at all.
Brittany. Yeah. I'm really worried about her, everyone.
I just saw the Justin Timberlake apology, and I was very confused by it because I didn't know what the hell he's apologizing for. The last time Justin Timberlake apologized like that was when he got caught flirting with his co-star, and Jessica Biel wanted to kill him. Anyway, okay, so before we get into Bachelor, just so I make sure to do this now before people decide if they don't like The Bachelor, they just stop listening.
Your mistake, but okay.
Yeah, your mistake. We usually have like the best conversations then. DC Sports XP on both Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, and we'll know in the next week about the giveaway thing. I'm going to send a follow-up DM maybe tomorrow. If there's no response or just a no, then we're just gonna take matters into our own hands and try to get rid of these things. So that will happen. So yeah, now with that said, thanks for listening. If you want to continue to listen, we are going to talk about the Bachelorette as hometowns are set.
Bachelor.
That's what I meant. Okay. So this is a new format for how we do this. I'm just going to bullet point this. I usually go in chronological order of the episode or episodes and go off on dumb tangents. Usually causes longer talk. But now I'm just going to bullet point it and then open it up for discussion. So, episode. This is how it went. Heather came back. Heather left because we all knew that was going to happen. Chelsea and Serena C went home. Serena P got a one-on-one. It was tantric yoga. Not awkward at all. Okay, group date. Abigail got sent home. A lot of people got mad about it on social media. Kit had her like demands of what she would want if she got picked. Then she kicked herself off the show. Rachel got the rose plus kind of an extra date where they did dancing in front of Aloe Block. Aloe Block is freaking awesome. I love him. But because Rachel got the rose in an extra date, I could only imagine what social media was doing. And of course, I did a search afterwards, and it was funny as hell. Jasenia got sent home after her one-on-one, which was just stunt car racing or drifting.
Yeah.
And then
he knew that was going to happen too. He's drifting her right off the show. That's what he's doing.
And then the final rose ceremony of the evening, and Piper is gone, and I am so mad about that one.
Okay, so that makes the final four: Serena P,
Mm-hmm.
Rachel,
Yep.
Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
and Brie.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's open it up. What's our takeaways?
Does anyone else want? Joe,
Well, Mike, are you? What are your thoughts on Rachel?
Well, after I did Twitter searches for both. Well, I just did Twitter. I think I do three things: Matt James, Bachelor. Then I do Rachel. First of all, I hate how she spells her name. It's annoying because people who are talking about her will spell it just regularly, so you don't see those tweets if you just spell it the wrong way or the right way. So I might do two Rachel searches because of both names, and then I did an Abigail search. And then I did a Piper search. I did a lot of searches. I was way too invested. I really don't like this, but I've gotten hooked. The Rachel thing, I like I said, we said that we already talked about it last week. How we all know the situation at hand and whatnot. After I sifted through the just mean tweets about it, who are just mad about that, I was I think actually that has totally clouded so many people's judgment of her now, because she was like the favorite. I think a universal it was hard not to like her. Now people are just
which one?
Rachel.
Oh,
like people have now been
Abigail.
I'm
talking about Abigail.
No, you asked me about Rachel.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
So I'm still in the context of I'll wait till the show's over to whatever happens from that. We'll know more. I actually want to know. Actually, I want to ask Savannah. I was had to go through those type of tweets. Somebody was saying based on that incident, she actually left her sorority because of that incident. Is that true? I saw somebody I don't know if it's defending her, but it was she actually left her sorority because they were throwing those parties.
Interesting.
So if that's true, which I'm taking everything with a grain of salt at this point,
yeah,
I would commend her a little more for that if she actually did do that. I think, I'm not mean girling her right now. I'm still in the process of judging her as I've always judged her, and she was my favorite. She still, I guess, technically would be my favorite, because I guess if I were to rank them, it would be her. Who else is in the four?
Michelle, Brie, and Serena P.
Right. Because
that's tough, right? Because all three of those weren't really on my radar. As
the biggest thing that sucks about Abigail not being on it is that it's just her love fell on deaf ears.
Oh.
So it's he couldn't even hear it. Matt
I knew it was going somewhere, and I wasn't quick enough to get to
if you saw my face when Joe said Abigail's name and he had this stupid smirk on his face, I'm like, he has a joke lined up. It's coming. There it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, if I were to rank them, oh man, I like Brie, but she got quiet ever since her one-on-one, which was episode 2 or 1. It was episode 2. I just don't. I think she had the big thing when they were revealing. If we want to get into those reveals where you are saying more serious stuff, she quit her job to stay on the show. I was like, that's a guilt trip and a half.
She quit her job to stay on the show, and it was okay, wow, you really revealed something to Matt. You guys had such a great moment together. And then Rachel and him were just I like you so much. I like you so much. And then he's the group date rose goes to Rachel. What a slap in the face. I just told you I quit my job to be here with you, and I can't even get a rose.
This is why I couldn't be on the show, because if it got to this point and these girls are both all saying these crazy things to me, that I'm I feel so bad now.
Wow.
Well, I think he again, I said this I'm putting blinders on here just from I'm judging on the show. I'm not because we didn't know this was happening. The other stuff. I always said Rachel and him it seemed the best chemistry. They seemed the most natural with each other. Except, God, Matt's just such a blah. Like he's so blah, so average. He's just so I don't know.
This
You know
was the
what?
Yeah, I do. And this was the first episode that I finally saw him care about someone else like more than the group. Like when he pulled Rachel aside to have that concert, I was like, oh, he really likes Rachel. Like Rachel was the clear winner here because he genuinely likes her. With every other person, I'm like, you haven't said anything. You're not really doing much. Like I can't tell where you're at.
Can I ask a question? Because Savannah would know this. Is how far on average did Abigail make it as the first impression rose versus other first impression roses?
She
Like,
made
is
it
it-
like the average amount of first impression roses. Most of the time, the first impression rose either goes to somebody that makes it right before hometowns, then leaves, or is the villain of the season because they're the hottest. Just kind of happens that way. Guys like, oh, she's hot. I'll give her the first impression rose. And then like the hot to crazy scale kind of comes into play there. And it was like, ooh, you're the villain of the season.
The hot to crazy scale. There's that viral video of that like professor looking guy doing it. It is such a good video.
I just discovered that video. I'm years behind.
Oh,
but now
wow,
I use
really?
the hot to crazy ratio like a lot.
Because it's the one at the end where he goes, and at this point, and that's a unicorn. If you find one of those, capture it, keep it safe. That's pretty. It's just pretty good because the guy doing the video just looks like a substitute math teacher. So okay. We're talking about Abigail. Yeah. So Abigail got knocked off.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a car crash in slow motion. You saw it coming. It's just like, no, don't do it, don't. And then she's gone, and because she kept talking about it in her little like one-on-one interview, and I was like, okay, is this like a setup? Is she still gonna? And then it happened, and on Twitter, people were like, Abigail didn't get. I think somebody said Abigail and Chelsea didn't get enough shine or recognition. I was like, I disagree with that. I thought both those people got a lot of screen time. I mean, Abigail more than Chelsea probably, but they still got like good, like we knew who they were.
I mean, Abigail was the only person left at that point that hadn't had a one-on-one date.
That was what she was kind of mad about. That's what it was.
Yeah. So that's like the one part that like she didn't get that moment. And almost always the first impression rose gets the first one-on-one date because it's like, oh, I clearly like you. I'll take you on the first date. And the fact that he never took her on a date is like weird. A little weird. But
well, I kind of forgot what I was going to say there, but Joe already made his peace with Abigail. It fell on deaf ears. That joke is just so it's funny, but man. I was going to say Serena P honestly is a dark horse to win this thing. We were talking about Rachel, how he like feels comfortable with him. Like I feel like now that I think about it, how he talks with Serena P is a very close second. Now that I think about it,
I feel like it's friendly. I kind of feel like they're more like best friends rather, which I mean is a good part of a relationship. You should be friends with your partner, but I feel more friendship vibes than I do of like, oh, I want to jump your bones vibes.
I go back to their first date where they were on the horses. And then they were taking selfies.
Oh, yeah, with the donkey.
The donkey.
Well, remember
they just didn't have the oh my god, they're so good together vibe. It was more
remember
like
what
are we doing type vibe,
Remember what we all said? I'm pretty sure we all said this in agreement. How we liked her because she was like, I'm falling in like, and she's not like, I'm falling in love. She had another great line where she was telling him, I'm not gonna lie to you and say I love tantric yoga. And then you say, like, that's my favorite thing about you, when it's like, oh, crap, like, now we're just lying to each other. So I like that. I appreciated that. I mean, I think everybody would appreciate it. Yeah, she's too normal. She's too normal. Well, I think he's such a weirdly average, just normal dude you can tell, like, people are talking about how he's clearly not comfortable in front of a camera. Like, he's not himself. I know that because I see his Instagram videos. I don't follow him, but I've seen him, like, messing around with, like, Tyler and them, and he's just a goofy, like, nerdy dude. Like, I feel like that's what he is, and he doesn't show that goofiness on the show. Like, it's a completely different person. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I feel like I think she's a dark horse. But the tantric yoga thing was kind of cringe when he was like, man, I like loved it when we were like close to each other. I felt a connection, and like cuts to her going, I felt super uncomfortable. I was like, this is opposite.
She's kind of funny though. She's kind of funny.
She is funny. And also I didn't know she was Canadian until I saw she's from Canada. And then as I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, like Canadian, she literally said a boat or something like that. She said a word that just gave it away. So I learn something new every day. What else? Anything else jump out?
Yes, Kit. I'd
Oh,
like
I'm so
everyone
glad
to tell
she's
me that
gone.
I was right, because Kit was not there to get married. She's a 21-year-old girl that was like, I'm a long-term investment. And Matt's like, yeah, I'm totally willing to make that investment. She's like, Kit. I mean, I'm not gonna want to have kids for like 5 years. He's like, yeah, that works for me. And she's like, I have to take finals. And he's like, okay. And she's like, I have to go home. And he's like, okay, bye.
Savannah, you know what my notes were for this, and it's hilarious that you just like described it that way. I said Kit takes herself out. Theory: she 100% went on for clout, realized she was far enough, and then tried with all these demands and was like, crap. Okay, I'm just gonna like. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, you. It's like I was like, okay, I made it this far. Now I have to try to get myself out of it.
Yeah. She saw him send Abigail home and she was like, wait, 1, 2, oh my God, I'm going to make it to hometowns. I can't go to hometowns. Like, this is too real now. So she's like, okay, what can I say to scare him? And it didn't scare him.
Dude, her demands were finish school, travel, figure it out, won't have kids for another 5 years, long-term investment. And like Savannah said, he was just like, yeah, cool. Let's do this. Like, I'm cool. I'm cool.
That's so funny.
I'm cool being a 30-year-old marrying a 21-year-old. That's cool.
Yeah. He's like, we can just be Instagram influencers running around New York. Like, that works for me.
Yeah, it worked for the last two.
I wonder if he was like, well, I know she's rich, so.
Yeah. Oh, he saw his life made. He's like, I mean, you're not doing much. You're on my show. Like, this could work. This could work. So there was no real connection there. Kit was there for clout only.
You think when Jasenia went home that MJ's watching the show saying, peace, love, and harmony, bitch?
Okay, wait a second. Yes, but I think I may owe MJ an apology.
Uh-oh.
And if MJ decides to listen to this, this is my moment to screen grab for her. Jasenia's mean.
No.
Like, real mean.
Like, she's flipped the switch. Something happened.
But the way she talked to Heather, where she was like, oh, so you didn't work out with Colton, so you're just going to try your luck on this show? Or are you going to come back next season too? Like,
well, okay, can we get to that? That was hard to watch. That was legit hard to watch.
That was, and then she literally goes, go cry in your confessional about it.
Oh, so that was Serena C that said that.
Still rude.
No, Serena C, that was actually, I mean, it was horribly mean, but I kind of chuckled. She's like, I can't deal with your tears. Go cry on your confessional about it or something like, yeah, that's what she said. And I'm like, I literally had to pause the show when that started. And I'm like, this is hard to watch. Like, this is secondhand, like, not embarrassment, like secondhand, like roasting essentially. And so here's the thing. I actually think Heather, even though she's literally looks like a Barbie, and I'm not really that attracted to her because like she literally looks like a human Barbie. I think she was like completely genuine in her intentions. Like, she wasn't clout chasing. Like, does that make sense? Like, I really don't think she was, because she already has a bunch of followers. So,
Right.
Because you know this, like, she was on The Bachelor already, so she probably has a contact via, I don't know if she has an agent or whatever, and she can easily contact the Bachelor people. And she probably had that discussion with Hannah Brown, actually, and been like, oh, well, I have a connection to get on the show. I can try.
Yeah.
Did it, and actually did it. And you could tell in her face when he said, you can tell he was about to say but, like he does this all the time. But her face, like, genuinely, like, she was like, oh my God, like, this isn't going to work. And I felt actually sad. It was the first time I really felt compassion for somebody.
And she, like, her origin story is that she came on The Bachelor and she's like, I've never kissed anybody. And she's like, not because I didn't have the opportunity to, but because I like want to save my first kiss for somebody so special. Like, she's just a sweetheart. She is a genuinely good person that wants to make a real connection. And she tried with Matt, and the girls roasted her for it.
I do want to make a clarification. When I said that's the first time I showed compassion, I meant to a contestant on the show, not like in real life. I've never showed compassion to anybody in my life. But yeah, I felt bad for Heather. Because think about it. How many times does this happen to people where it's like, oh, my friend knows this person's like, oh, you be good together. Let me set you guys up. She basically had a straight line to the show. She took it. Sorry, Heather. But yeah, the girls, they were like talking under their breath when she was trying to explain herself. And I was like, I couldn't be in the room. I would walk away. I'd be like, I can't deal with this.
So Jasinia's gone, and I think I owe MJ an apology because Jasinia might have been one of the meanest girls. MJ's not innocent, but you were right, MJ. Jasinia was not nice. So
they gave her the villain card. It was like WWE. They were like, Jasenia, you're the villain now, and flip that switch. She's vicious. She's tiny, but she's vicious. Let's see what happened. Do we care that Chelsea or Serena C went home? I like Chelsea. I didn't really like Serena C.
Same.
I agree.
Let's see. Anything else?
No. Does anyone want to change their prediction of who they think wins?
Oh, I got one more thing. Official ruling. I kind of hinted at it last time, maybe 2 episodes ago. Matt's laugh freaking sucks. His laugh is so fake. If it's real, it sucks. If it's not, it's completely fake. It's hard to listen to. I don't know how to. He's like, ha, 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 ha. Like with Piper right next to him, being like, what the hell are you doing? Piper was pissed for rightfully so. Also, the follower discrepancy between some of these girls on like Instagram. By the way, I followed Piper just out of solidarity because I was so mad. It's like I'm following Piper. I only follow Rachel and Piper on Instagram from the show. My 2 favorites. She's always gonna be my favorite. But Piper, I was like, you might be my new number 1 now, just because I'm so mad for you. But she has like 40,000 followers. Rachel has like 400. I was like, how is that possible? Because I was thinking, they were considered like 1, 2.
Yeah.
By a lot of people, and usually that means like everybody is still following the same people. So, found that kind of interesting. But, you said predictions?
Yeah. Go ahead and make your predictions. I still think Rachel wins. I think Michelle is 2nd. I think Bree is 3rd, and Serena P is 4. No, I lied. Flip Bree and Serena P. I don't know.
Wait, say yours again. Rachel,
Michelle, Serena P, Bree.
Okay. I'm going to say Rachel, Bree, Serena P, and who's the last one? Sorry.
Michelle.
See, she's got no chance.
Rachel. It's going to be Rachel, Serena P. I think Michelle overtook Bree. I think it's Michelle then Bree.
Okay.
I think Bree is going to get really close, but at the end of the day, he's going to say you're too much of a friend.
They showed They showed a I guess technically a blooper, I guess if you want to call it, at the end of Michelle doing push-ups. I thought that was so funny.
So funny. I was like, Michelle, I wish we got more airtime of Michelle, because if she's just doing push-ups like it's before doing a toast because she wants her arms to look good, I'm like, I bet you're hilarious.
Like, that's funny. That's like genuine humor. Also, they showed, I guess they go skydiving. Somebody goes skydiving, I forget who. Somebody gets annihilated in skydiving. Like, that looked like, I was like, I've gone skydiving. That's not supposed to happen.
No, they land head first.
By the way, do we have time for a short story? Speaking of skydiving.
Oof. I don't know. I mean, no. I got it.
I'm talking, when I say short story, I mean like no more than 5 minutes. Savannah, have you been skydiving?
No, I have not.
Okay, this makes it funnier. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to try to spark notes this thing. So Joe knows we went skydiving. It was for Joe's high school graduation gift. Now, before we decided to do this, our cousin Johnny, who's basically like our older brother, texted me and said, would you want to be in on a Groupon we got for skydiving? and it was a surprise for Joe. So Joe had no idea. It's like, would you want to be a Groupon? I thought I would never go skydiving in my life, but I didn't want to be, a bitch about it. So I texted him like, yeah, I'm down. But behind those words were like, damn it. Like, I was like, no, I'm scared as you know what to go skydiving, but I'm not gonna bitch out on this. So we tell Joe that we're doing something. I forget how we described it. We're just like, we're doing an event for you for your birthday. We told him what weekend it was. I kid you not. Joe probably doesn't remember this. Maybe he does. He Google searched like every event possible in like a 40-mile radius of DC because he was determined to find out what we were doing. And I remember him coming up to me and going, I know what we're doing. And I'm like, what? And he's like, we're going to like this Renaissance fair I found. And I'm like, Joe, I wish we were going to a Renaissance fair that you found. But we weren't. So we actually, the day we were supposed to do it, it got rained out and we had to like put it to the next day. It was like a Saturday. We did it on Sunday. We drive out to like Manassas or whatever. And we blindfolded Joe the whole time because, make it look, hopefully then we got pulled over by the cops with a blindfolded person in the back seat. Just throwing him out of a plane. Don't worry about it. So we get to the skydiving sign where we drive past it. We unblindfold Joe. He made a sound that sounded like reverse puberty. He was like, oh my God. And we get to the thing, we sign our life away on the, what do you call it? The little forms, there's like 12 forms you had to sign your signature. The last one, they say you sign your life away. It says like, if you die, we're not responsible. So it says also have not consumed alcohol in the last 12 hours. Our cousin and his friend literally did like an all-night bender the night before. So he was like, well, that's a lie, but I'm signing anyway. We get into a group circle with our instructor, who's Australian. So I'll try to do my best impression. He said our lesson was, when we jump out the plane, you're going to put your head back, snap it back, chin up, feet to butt, and you won't die. And he like said as a joke. And I'm like, excuse me, first timer here. Hi. Did you say die? Because that's not funny. Like that's not, we're jumping out of a plane from 15,000 feet. I don't think we should be joking about death. So we had that lesson, get harnessed up, go in the plane. There's about 12 of us that went up. By the way, these guys do jumps all day. I don't get it. Like they literally jump 50 times a day. We go up. I'm strapped to actually the Australian guy. He was my person. I was the third one to go, but we opened up the door as we were going up, and I'm in my head. I'm like, holy shit, that is high. And then my instructor goes, I said that in my head, by the way. My instructor goes, we're only halfway up. I'm like, what? I was like, I don't know what Joe was thinking the whole time. Joe was probably in his pants. I don't know what.
I was the last one out of the plane.
Oh, that's the worst.
Oh, that's freaking awful.
So check this out. Check this out. I don't know when Mike went. I don't know when everyone else went, but we're all sitting against the wall of the plane, and the door is open. So people are just scooting their butts with their person on their back, and then you just get your leg. I'll tell you what. When you have your legs over the sky, it is a feeling that you've never felt. And I was really worried that I was gonna like fall out because you just kind of fall out, but I was worried I was gonna fall out and like hit the
not the blades. You're talking about like the landing gear.
Whatever it is. I was worried I was gonna hit something. Yeah. But I was the last one out. So everybody goes and it's like, oh my God, I'm scooting up and I'm the last person. It's like worse when you're the last person because you watch all these people in front of you go over and over and you're just like, damn, this is crazy. But that was a really good time.
No, but so then that was a good funny interjection because I forgot you're the last one to go. I think I was third, and I remember Johnny went first or second, and he looked, and I remember him looking back, and he made eye contact. He's like, if I don't see you again, I love you, and I'm like, that's not funny. and then I get, and of course, like, and I'm dangling. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, I'm dangling first. I'm tripped out because you're 15,000 feet up in the air, and all you see is just green/clouds. And I'm thinking, okay, head back, chin up, feet to butt, head back. I was like freaking out. And so my guy goes, he's like, you ready? I'm like, yep, go. Do everything I told. The free fall is insane. Like, you can't really describe it. It's just crazy. You have goggles on, of course, so your eyes don't get destroyed. But then I didn't know what to wear for, like, because it was hot. It was like summertime, but I was like, I don't want to wear jeans. I don't want to like burn up. So I wore like cargo shorts, and that was a mistake because when the parachute opened, my harness rode up really far, and it like dragged some cargo short with it, and I had like the biggest, just, I don't know what you call it, burn on my inner leg. And so once we were just like floating at that point, I was like, okay, it hurts, but this view is freaking amazing. And then you just kind of like relax, your heart rate slows down. My dude's like taking pictures on his like GoPro camera. And then this is the kicker to the whole thing. Same instructor that joked about dying. He said, all right. He's like, all right, before we land, you're gonna put your feet up so we slide in our butt so you don't break your legs. And I'm like, you're telling me this 10 seconds before we have to do this. This is not funny. So you're telling me if I wasn't athletic enough to pick my feet up high enough, I'm going home in a wheelchair, essentially. Like what is this? Like, are you certified? I'm questioning your certification at this point. So yeah, we slide in, and then they sell you the package of like, do you want all these photos? I'm like, oh, we don't want to pay for that. And we're like, all right, we'll pay for that. So we like bought all like our photos. So I definitely have a photo on Instagram. It's like me after the fact, like pointing up to the sky, like I did that. But yeah, that was skydiving for Joe's graduation gift.
I've always wanted to go skydiving, and you guys have really sold it to me. I feel like
just don't go to that one. You'll have some crazy Australian dude.
That one's a good one. Anyways, yeah, I gotta wrap up here, guys. But
no, we're pretty much done. But if you stayed, we love you as always. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and do the old follow. We have 111 subscribers on YouTube, so it's actually going up. We haven't actually dropped subscribers. We're actually going up, up and away. All right. Any last words?
I got nothing.
That's it for me.
All right. With that said, this is DCXP Podcast, episode 21. We will see you guys next time.